Ah, hello. I didn't see you there. Just engaged in a little light reading. Would you like to hear some stories? Sorry, I can't even keep up the pretense that I like to read. Hi guys, my name's Emily Boo and welcome to the first episode of hopefully more to come. My eye is really watering, so I have really sensitive eyes. I'm not crying at the fact that I don't work at Wetherspoons anymore. So this is the first of hopefully more episodes of Tales of Wetherspoons. Think of me as your local crypt keeper. I mean, hello. So I worked at Wetherspoons for 6 years. Oh, my ass, I think I got piles, man. My ass will not get comfortable. I worked at Wetherspoons for 6 years of my life. 6 degrading years of my life. And my God, I got a story for you. One story. I've got hundreds of stories for you. So one of my patrons suggested I make this video and I put it on my Instagram story and instantly I was inundated with all of your stories. So if you're outside the UK, Wetherspoons is think of a Walmart restaurant. That's the best way I can describe it. I used to work at Primark before I worked at Wetherspoons. Oh my God, Primark was like working at Buckingham Palace compared to Wetherspoons. So this video is full of my stories. All of this is my stories, and then if you guys are still enjoying what I'm doing, I would love to read more of these with your stories, because I know I'm not the only one. If you currently work at Wetherspoons, or you have worked at Spoons, or in the future you're planning to work at Spoons, they do pay a good wage. That is a plus for them. But you will not leave without some form of mental health issues, a lot of self-loathing, and possibly an affair. One positive before I get into the negatives of Wetherspoons, because there aren't many positives, is you can look exactly how you want, obviously. I mean, I got my first face tattoo while I was working at Spoons, and my God, did the old men customers let me know how unattractive that was. Achievement unlocked. But if you're our alternative, Spoons is a great place because you can have tattoos, you can have piercings, you can have your hair exactly how you want. As long as you don't stink, they don't really care. So that is a good plus, because I don't think piercings and tattoos affect the way you work. I mean, having an untattooed arm is not gonna pull that pint of Carlsberg any faster. I quit Wetherspoons after working there for 6 years in May last year, and I did vlog me quitting. I'll link that at the end of this video if you would like to check it out. But this is my stories of Wetherspoons. Strap yourself in, children, it's gonna be a bumpy ride, because mama don't know how to drive. I'm going to start off with a little light-hearted one that might help you. Bartenders see everything. We see everything. I'm going to change names here. But little old Stephen that comes in every Tuesday to cheat on his wife, we see you. Little old Mandy that thinks she's a cougar, comes in, prey on the young 18-year-old fresh boys. We see you. And not only do we see everything, people tell us everything. Oh my God, you know Christopher that comes in here every Tuesday. He's just got done for beating up a pigeon in the park. Tried to stamp on it, rip its feathers out, said, "I'm having chicken tonight." We hear and see everything. That was a plus about the job, because it's like real life EastEnders. And you're just Doc Cotton that's been around for years and years and years. Don't really have many storylines, but you're just there in the background. So on that note, one of my first stories is of a regular who would come in every few weeks with his wife and his children, and on the alternate weeks he would come in and cheat on his wife. And it's not our business to say to his wife, ayo, because we don't know the situation, but we would see that a lot. There was the local radio host who would come in on his lunch break, down 5 double JDs, be fucking rude as. Now, I've heard him on the radio and he's proper like nice and polite, but he would come in and treat us like shite and then run back to the radio station and be a gentleman. This is why you can't trust people on social media, on radio, on television, because it's all a lie. Seeing them in real life is how they are. And I didn't realise he was a radio presenter, and I just thought he was another dick that came in. And then it was my boss at the time who said, you know, he's like famous, he does panto, and he's known around here. I was like, well, he's an asshole. I would take your idea off you for fun. when you got a fake ID. Oh my god, it was like Christmas Day. I can spot a fake ID better than Mary Berry can spot a flailing pudding. The amount of fake IDs I have seen are unreal. But we have certain tricks. There's one thing in particular we will look for. It makes me so happy because then you keep the ID and you're like, excuse me sir, this is fake, and you see the blood drain from their face, and then you have to kick them out. And that was our entertainment. Also, IDing people. It is technically challenge 25, so if you look under 25, we have to ID you. The amount of people that moan, it's always young people, the amount of people that moan when you ask them for ID, we would do it to be an asshole. And we would tell each other, can you make sure you ID them? Because they are overage, but they're being a miserable sod about it. So make sure you ID them every time they come to the bar. That was one of my favourites. That was my entertainment on Friday, Saturday night. Food complaints are the best from people that don't read the menu. Skinny chicken burger is a chicken burger with salad instead of chips. A chicken burger is a chicken burger with chips instead of salad. It's the same goddamn burger. The amount of people that would come to the bar and say, can I have a skinny chicken burger with chips? So a chicken burger. Nah, you're not listening. You're not listening. I said a skinny chicken burger. Yeah, you're pointing your finger ain't gonna make me top. It's gonna make me make the price up, to be honest. Put myself a drink on your order. This is quite funny. Even if I could see your table, like, so when you could order at the bar, I think you can still now, but COVID. When you can order at the bar, you need to know your table number. I don't care if your table is right in front of me and I know the number of your table. If you are rude to me, I will make you walk your sorry ass back to your table to get that number and then come back to me. I don't care if I know exactly where you're sitting and I can type that number in a breeze. You rude? I'll make you walk. How about the time that the walls leaked shit? This is not an exaggeration. Literally leaked shit. Something you may know about Wetherspoons, and something that has become quite a popular meme, is that Wetherspoons are 9 times out of 10 in super old buildings. That's why the toilets are always upstairs, because they were old. And the toilets in the pub that I worked at were rubbish. The plumbing was so old that there's a certain part of the pub that you can go in today and you can look up at the ceiling and there is a gigantorous stain on the ceiling. Now you can look up and it looks like water damage. It's shit damage, bro. When we went back after the first lot of COVID, the walls literally poured. I'm not going to say where in the pub they poured because you won't sit there, but the walls literally poured like a freaking shower with brown piss. It was disgusting. Do they get a cleaner in to clean it up? We had to clean up all the shit like that. The amount of times they've cleaned up sick in that pub, they have cleaners, but the cleaners are in the morning. So anything that happens from the morning when the cleaners have gone is our job. Luckily I had a really nice boss who would definitely like help out. We've gone through a few bosses at the pub I worked at and we've seen our fair share of assholes. People that would just tell you what to do and not do it themselves. But my last manager was really nice. But like literal brown water falling from the ceiling. Chocolate rain. It's funny because when you work there, these things happened over like 6 years. So you don't really, it's like you get used to it very quickly. I would come home on a busy Friday and Saturday night, walk through the door and literally spout at my partner. This happened, this person got beat up, that person's doing drugs in a toilet. Working in Spoons turned me into a horrible person. It made me hate myself, like I said at the beginning, self-loathing, mental health. There is so much that happened at the Spoons I worked at. You get treated like crap by customers and staff. After a while, you start to believe it. And getting out of Spoons was honestly the biggest mental health release I could ever wish for. So that moves me on to the time that we caught a 70-plus-year-old woman herself in the booth. We had a few booths in, unfortunately it's like my favourite place to sit in the pub. So whenever I go in there with my friends, we do still sit there, like, but I will put my coat down first. maybe I just have zero standards and no dignity. Yeah, that's definitely it. It was a quiet Sunday night. Sunday nights are always the quietest because you only get regulars, because a lot of people have work the next day, they have kids, they can't be going out on Sunday night. This part of the pub was around the same time that the ceiling was leaking and the lights had broken. So it was quite dark in that corner. You could still see everything, but it was darker than the rest of the pub. And we could hear stuff from the bar. It was just me, one male manager, and I think a female bar staff as well. I think there was 3 of us. And then there was the kitchen guys. And you could hear stuff, and it's a quiet Sunday, and I like to people watch, so I just walk around the bar, like just watching people, just, you know, that typical English, like, you're right. I got to this point of the bar, and you could just see. Now, I'm a person that watches a lot of porn, so I know when, you know, I know, all right? It's not like a pizza delivery boy came in and went, ma'am, you ordered a sausage? It wasn't like that, and it wasn't sexy. Sorry, I still see this lady like around town sometimes, and I just can't help but think, what were you thinking? Like, I guess she just really liked the fish and chips she had for tea. Well, I was on the bar and I could see it, but I couldn't see it. Like, your brain doesn't register what you are looking at. So I ran around and I told the manager, you will not believe what I have just seen. you're the manager, bro. Go and deal with it. And I'm just standing there like, what would you do in that situation, guys? And my manager goes over, goes up to a table, and I watch him, and he just walked past. He didn't make eye contact, banged on the table, enough of that, and walked off. My manager came out and he was like, it's happening. And I couldn't look at that corner, I couldn't look at that section of the pub. I had to walk off, and I was honestly in disbelief of what I had just seen. And yeah, so that's one of my favourite stories. On that note, Wetherspoons kind of makes people horny. Maybe that's why she enjoyed a second helping of fish supper. The amount of sexual deviations that happen in Wetherspoons is unreal. Every Friday and Saturday night, there would be people getting in the garden. No pun intended. You would take people's drinks, and people like touching each other up. Well, this all happened over 6 years. It's not like this happened in a week. All spoons, because I've got friends that still work at other spoons, and we had a chat about this. All spoons have such a high staff turnover. There would be new staff every 3 weeks. About every 3 weeks to month. It became a joke that you either lasted a week at the pub or you lasted years. There was no in between. So we would frequently get people that didn't realise how hard working at a Spoons is. And I know some of you are going to be like, well, it's a Wetherspoons, how can it be hard? It's hard because you get treated like shit. We had such high things we had to do from HQ. There was a lot of pressure put on you in this job. If you do something wrong, the whole pub gets less bonus. And we would frequently get bonus. 0. Zilch. Nada. Nakey. Nothing. You have to learn what goes in about 1 million different drinks. So Spoons have a very big wide selection of mainly gins, but they have like rum, tequila. Oh my god, if you come into a Spoons and you call tequila rose, I will stab you. Why am I talking like I still work? My number one complaint about Wetherspoons, it's not even Wetherspoons' problem. Customers are assholes. Customers treat you like the shit on their shoe. The worst time to work at, like the honest god, hands down, worst time to work at Wetherspoons is Easter weekend, when office workers have 4 days off. I would do Christmas, December, all those office parties all over again, as long as I didn't have to do those 4 days. Because people come into the pub, we had a pretty big beer garden as well. They would come in really early, and what are you going to do for 4 days? You're going to socialise, nothing wrong with that. But they came into the pub and you'd be fucking rude. They would be so rude. I have been screamed at. They would call you every name under the sun. I frequently went home from Spoons stressed. Wasn't even frequent. Stressed was after every shift. But I would frequently go home and just cry because it's so damaging to your mental health. The way customers treat you is unreal. People definitely see themselves above bar workers or waiters and that. And it shows. They think they can get away with it because it's cheap. A pint of Ruddles, it's less than £2. And because it's so cheap, you can get pissed on a tenner. Dealing with drunk people is the worst. They would fly at you, they would try and hit you, they would scream at you. My manager got punched in the face so many times. After like the first couple of times, she's like, yeah, it's part of the job, innit? I'm like, no, it's not part of the job. There are so many videos on YouTube of people getting attacked, staff getting hit at Wetherspoons, and that's exactly what our pub was like. Like, what about the time I wouldn't serve lady because she was drunk and I can barely see over the top of the till, and I'm 4'11", I'm a short ass. Made this lady her drinks and my manager had come along and said that's enough for them, like no more for them. So after she had got her drinks, she tried to order more, so I obviously politely said, sorry guys, I've been told that I can't serve you anymore, but you know, you're welcome to enjoy the ones you have and come back another time. Oh God, no. Oh God. She looked like I just smashed her back door in on Christmas Day and shat on her kids. She poured a bottle of Bud, I think. It was a bottle of something. She poured it over me. She poured it over my, over the till I was working on. Like, because I'm short, I'm surprised she didn't cover me more, but it went on my face, it went on my glasses and down the front of me. That's how people think they could treat you. I would never walk into somewhere and treat people that way. I had blue hair at the time, when I first started at Spoons, and we had this prick who would come in and sexually harass me every single freaking week, call me a smurf. And I would obviously get my intelligence cap on and I would say, name me a smurf with blue hair. Name me a smurf with blue hair. And that was kind of funny because he couldn't, so he'd just trot along and then the next week come back, huh, you're right, smurf. And then it evolved to sexually harassing me. Does carpet match the drapes? I'm like, why is that any of your business? The amount of times you would walk around that busy pub, like taking food, taking drink orders out, and people would touch you up. Now, I am not, to most people, I am not aesthetically sexy, but I would still get my ass pinched, still get your boobs groped, and it becomes such second nature to you after a very short time that you just accept it. And you should never accept that kind of behaviour. You would just carry on with the rest of your shift. Yeah, it happened. What about the time someone threatened to arm me and no one gave a shit? I was serving these two men in the pub and it was a quiet, I don't know what night it was quiet, so it wasn't like a Friday or a Saturday. And we're chatting to people at the bar. If you stand at the bar and you're by yourself and the bar people aren't busy, chances are they'll stand and have a word with you, because we know that a lot of people that come into Spoons are quite lonely. I was chatting to this guy, a bit older than me, but not old, like late 30s. It was nothing rude, nothing anything, like, mate, I was only chatting to you because I was bored. He was getting drunker and drunker, so it gets to the point we have to say, sorry guy, this is, no more, you had enough. And he looked me dead in the eyes and he went, I know what time you finish work, I will see you out back. And then he said something about my pants, I can't remember, like my knickers, I'll see what colour your knickers are, something like that. I have blocked this fucking story out. That was the first time that I fully was scared of a customer. Because if you do a close at the pub, you frequently finish at 3 a.m. usually. Some days I would finish at 4 a.m, get up for the school run at 7. But when you finish that late and you have to sit, and I would sit outside the pub by myself and wait for my taxi, it's a very, very scary thing. And you can tell your staff, we would all tell the staff people and it would be like, whoa, that's creepy. But that would be it. It's so, I don't want to say accepted, but everybody who works at the Spoons I was at, it became a part of your job. Even though it was fucking horrible, you get over it. It sounds terrible, because if someone said that to me at my job now, I would knock them out. I'm a little 4'11", like, pew. But it became so normal after a while. You would get these comments and you would just brush it off. And you shouldn't have to. But I have friends that work at other Spoons and they're like, yeah, every week I get sexually harassed. Like, people just think it's a cheap pub, they can treat you how they want. So let's talk about the owner. Let's talk about the CEO. There was this huge controversy thing at the start of COVID that he had sacked all his staff, or he wasn't going to pay his staff, wasn't going to pay us furlough and everything. And I was working at the pub during this time. So what actually happened straight from the horse's mouth, is he wasn't going to pay us. He was waiting for the government to pay him, and then he was going to pay us. His plan was that until he got the government money, he wasn't going to pay his staff. I will say straight off, we did get paid. We did get paid, we didn't miss any furlough, and our furlough pay was quite good. Well, mine was anyway. That came from pressure from the government and the public, because he sent us all a video. It was a private video, but somebody has put it on YouTube and you need to watch it. He sent us a video standing in his kitchen with a cup of tea, you know, like one of the paupers like we are. It was him saying, like, if you need to go and work at Tesco, you can. You need to do what's right for you during these hard times. No! Pay your staff. We have done so much hard work and dealt with so much shit, and you just stand in your kitchen with a cup of tea and tell us to go work at Tesco. Like I said, we did get paid, but it was from the government's pressure and the public pressure. Otherwise, I don't think we would have. I don't know how he expected people on our wage. Yes, it was a good wage. It was above minimum wage. But I don't know how he expected us to live on our last wage until the government had whenever paid him so he could pay us. He's just so out of touch. It's unreal. If you ever find a Wetherspoons is shut in the middle of the day, there is only one reason you are allowed to shut the pub in the middle of the day. And you have to contact head office first, which is going to sound crazy when I tell you what that reason is. You can only shut the pub if someone dies in your pub. Now, this is more common than you probably think it is. In the 6 years I worked at the pub, it didn't happen. Other things happened, but we never had someone die. But in the next town over from the pub I worked at, it did happen. The majority of Spoons customers are older gentlemen that come in because they're lonely. They're probably not in the greatest health. I believe the death that happened at the pub in the other town was health issues. Probably not helped by alcohol. Spoons becomes routine for a lot of people, and I can see why. It's cheap and everybody knows your name, and it is like a little community. It's so weird. Like, I still love to go to Wetherspoons. Any town that I go in, I still like a Spoons because it's cheap, you know what you're going to get, all the food is the same, but you are only allowed to shut the pub if someone dies. No one died in the pub that I worked at in the 6 years I was there. I don't know if it's happened in the past or if it's happened since I left, but it happens. We did have multiple drug overdoses in our pub. So the pub that I worked at is in the town centre, and unfortunately the town I work at does have quite a big drug and homeless problem. So people would come into our toilets and maybe do it a bit too much and overdose, and we had to call ambulances out. On one of my shifts we found a young boy, like 18. Oh, it was fucking heartbreaking. He didn't OD, but he was in the toilets shooting up, basically, and a customer came and told us, and we had to go to, I waited outside the toilet because it was the men's toilets. A male staff member went in and was like, mate, I'm sorry, you can't do that, you have to go. And it's so heartbreaking. You're standing outside the toilet and you just see this 18-year-old kid walk past you with like a backpack full of their life, and that's what their life is. And this would happen a lot. I heard this happens in McDonald's too. I know someone who works in McDonald's and they're like, yeah, it happens all the freaking time. So on that topic of drugs is a huge issue at the pub I worked at, both with staff and customers. But customers would come in and we had bouncers, and oh my god, the amount of drugs that were confiscated. We would see drug drops outside the pub. County lines is a really big thing in the town I live at. Do you know what county lines is? It's where dealers from mainly London will send younger people with drugs from London to distribute to other areas, like where I live. We would see a lot of 18-year-olds because it was done inside the pub. We would see transactions done outside the gates of the pub where the kids would drop it off to the 18-year-olds. The 18-year-olds would come in the pub, be a normal customer, have a drink, and would be selling drugs on the premises. That happened a lot. And you have to kick them out, but it doesn't stop the problem, does it? You're just kicking them off your premises. Every freaking week there would be fights. Every week there would be fights. Girls throwing drinks in each other's faces because Sandra slept with Denise's boyfriend, even though he was a willing participant. Girls always go for the girl, don't they? Oh, but she's such a slag! Alright, I don't care. Just stop fucking pulling each other's hair extensions out. We once had a fist fight so bad that the door of the gantry, so like where the food was dropped down and taken out, would swing in and outwards, and there was once a fight so bad outside in the main area of the pub that the person got punched right in the face on my shift and fell through the door, smacked his head on the floor, and there's me just going, "Are you alright? Are you alright?" while my manager's trying to get the other guy out. One of my favourite, I don't know if that's the word, stories is of this old guy that used to come in the pub every week with his wife. She was a sex worker, and he was this little old guy, very, very regular customer, and he walked over to the table of another regular customer, and I don't know what happened, but I did watch the CCTV afterwards and it had no sounds. We couldn't tell what had happened, but all of a sudden this other customer who was also a regular gets up, and this guy's like old. He's in his late 70s, and this guy's in his 30s. And this guy stands up, big guy, and smacks him right in the face. Old guy falls down, hits his head on the table corner, and falls on the floor. And then this guy just gets up and walks away. This guy did go to prison. We actually followed the story in our pub with all the regulars. We were like, oh, look, he's been sentenced. The guy that fell went to hospital and had stitches and I can't remember, I think he had a neck brace on when he next came in, and he had a black eye, I think. You know, he was an old guy, so he didn't come off in the best shape, and he died over COVID, so I'm not saying the two were related. I'm just saying, like, you get to know these customers, and when they die, you know, it's quite sad. Though no one else was sad about his death because he was a rude asshole, I was a little bit sad. Let's talk about death. Because you work the same shifts, you see the same faces. It's not like a pub where the same people will come in, like the same group of friends. I mean, that's exactly what it is, but it's more than that. You'll have the same people waiting outside the pub at 8:30 every morning waiting for you to open the doors. They'll sit at the same table, in the same seat, with the same group of friends at the same time every day. So you do get to know these people, you do get to know their stories. We had so many customer suicides, not at the pub, but customers at the pub, especially during COVID. We had one customer who was always so quiet, and he would always say please and thank you. Anybody that says please and thank you, you will treat like the goddamn queen, because it never happens. Usually they would just come up to you, throw the money in the bar and go, Carlsberg. But we had one customer, an old guy, who was really, really lovely, so quiet, never caused any trouble. He would come in, he would sit at this same table every morning, and he would just always be polite. During COVID, he jumped off a bridge in our town, and so there is a lot. People, the people that go to Spoons regularly, like every day, you get a sense of that's their life. They're on their pension, they don't have to work, that's their routine, they don't do anything else. And it does get to you after a while. We had so many staff members that would be like, oh yeah, good riddance. And it's like, yeah, I understand that because they were a dick, but at the same time, you do grow to know these people. One other story is the glasses on the racks at the top. From the day those racks were put up, we were waiting for someone to get angry and to just push those glasses. There was nothing on the customer side of the bar to stop anybody pushing those glasses forward. And it happened a few times actually. Once when I was on shift, it was a Friday night, this guy was being an absolute dick to a girl that I worked with, and he just pushed the rack, like 50 glasses just slid off. They slid on the floor, they smashed. We got glass all over us. Thank God I got glasses on because a bit would have gone in my eye. You just reminded me of another story there. It happened another time. A young guy was on the till and was telling a customer that he'd had too much and that was it. So rather than be a gentleman and just say, yeah, you're right, mate, thanks, their ego gets punctured, doesn't it? It's affecting his ego. So he pushed the whole, there was great CCTV of this. in the work group chat, but as soon as I quit, like within an hour, I was kicked out of that chat, so I don't have the video. But they pushed the glasses off, and loads of glasses just fall off, smash all on the till, smash on the guy who was working, and the guys just, they walk off. They walk off. So in the glass wash area, glasses get washed so often, so often, and they were put on these trays of I could probably work it out, there was 5 rows of 5, so 25 glasses in per tray. And I don't know if you've ever lifted a crate of 25 pint glasses. Maybe you're stronger than I am, but it hurts, like it hurts your back. And of course you're taught to lift correctly, and you can do that if the tray is on the floor. Our trays were on like racks on the wall. So me being 4'11", no one gives a shit about your height in a job like this. It's so fast paced. It's get those glasses out, get them washed, get them clean, get them out. So you would have to lift them off the rack like this. And I'm so sure I would have to pull it off the wall, balance it on my shoulder so I could get a better grip of it, and then bring it down and then take it out. This gave me so many back problems. There is no other way I could get those trays down. It's so fast paced and you have such high I know people look at Wetherspoons as shit, but you have such high standards that you have to uphold. It doesn't look it because Spoons are so cheap. There's always gum on the floor. Like, it's not a nice place when you walk in usually. Like, the amount of health and safety issues was unreal. So our cellar went downstairs, and there was like quite steep, not that steep, but not, you know, they were quite steep stairs. And you would have to carry boxes up these stairs every night. We had to restock every night at the end of every shift. And so you're carrying like crates full of beer bottles, whole boxes of alcohol, and you carry it up the stairs. And the health and there was a door at the top of the stairs, so you would have to, because you couldn't leave this door open. You couldn't prop the door open with something because anybody could fall down the stairs. So that's health and safety. But you walking up the stairs with crates of beer that you can't see over or round, and you get to the top of the stairs, you have to balance them on the edge of the top step and then open the door. That's apparently not health and safety. Into the cellar was one of my favourite places. It was the porker fridge. No, not because I am a porker. It was like this cold, chilled fridge. You would just go to cry. And I joked about this with my friend who works at Spoons, and she's like, no, it's like a national thing. It's a thing that people do. Because I thought it was just me. I even said in my quitting video, like, this is where I come to cry. And I was kind of joking, but I wasn't joking. The job stresses you out so much, you just get treated like shit. So down to the cellar, down to the porker fridge, just sit down, have a cry, and because it was cold, you could just cry and just wipe your tears, and it didn't look like you've been crying. I don't know what kind of magical science that is. But so many times I would go and sit in there and just like let everything out. My God, the first time I went into Spoons with my face tattoo, so I got like, I don't know if you can see them, I have my face all tattooed. And the first time I went in with my first face tattoo, which was, it was a little pair of scissors just here. The amount of older customers that told me, oh, like, you've ruined your looks, no one's gonna find you attractive. I'm married. Don't give a shit if he leaves me either. The amount of comments you will get on the way you look is unreal. I would never go into somewhere and tell a staff member, I don't like the way they look. But in Spoons, it's okay. Apparently. I used to wear a wig. Oh my God, I used to wear a wig. I shaved my head and I had this green wig, and it was human hair, so it looked real, but when the old guys found out that it was a wig, I had one old guy who would try and pull it off my head every time I walked past his table. How fucking disrespectful is that? You don't know why I shaved my head. Like, I shaved it because I had psoriasis and PCOS and my hair is falling out. You didn't know that. You just knew that I shaved my head, and every time I walked past the table, they would give it a little yank. And it's like, how fucking rude is that? I feel like things like that don't happen in other restaurants or other bars. It's just Spoons has this reputation for being cheap, almost being like allowed. If you're a regular, the management will not tell you off. They might jokingly say like, oh, don't do that, don't do that. Like, my manager would bar you. She don't care if you've been there every day since you were 6 years old and you're now 87. She would still bar you. But before she started, we went through a few other managers, one in particular who moved to Colchester, I believe, the Playhouse, and he was a dick. He was a dick. He would shout at us and then go and stand in the kitchen and just eat fruit while shouting at us to do this, do that. Why is this not done? Why is this not? Take this food out, do this. And then it'll be like, oh, well, where's blah, blah, blah. I need some help with something. And then you go to the kitchen and stand about eating an apple or an orange, probably with the skin on because he was that type of weirdo. Not practicing what he preached. The toilets in Wetherspoons are the most disgusting thing you will ever see. Frequently. Now, I don't mean like once a month. I don't mean once a day. I'm saying once a week. Once a week, someone would have come in and shit in a urinal, shit on the floor, shit on the paper towel the toilet roll dispenser in the accessible toilet. Like, someone just thought, fuck toilet paper, I've got 5 little toilet paper things right here. And who has to clean that up? I don't mean me personally, it would be staff have to clean that up. In our accessible toilet, there was a baby changing table. That's where all the customers would go to do their coke. Because our toilets don't have a back on them. So you couldn't do your coke off the back of a toilet. So people would use the access toilet downstairs. They would use the baby changing table. So if you ever go to a Wetherspoons, anywhere to be honest, not just Wetherspoons, and use the baby changing table, wipe it down. So that's it, guys. That's the end of my tales of Wetherspoons. I hope you enjoyed this. If you would like to see more of these, let me know, because I got more under my hat. But thank you guys so much for watching. It feels really good to get all these gross stories out. I will see you very soon with hopefully a cleaner video. Take care, guys. Much love, and most of all, be nice to your spoon servers. Their life is hard enough.